Yeah. What's good? What's good? We gonna save some lives tonight. Give me 1 second. Let me turn something up real fast. Let me Give me 1 second. Yeah, peace, y'all. I'm gonna share something with y'all real fast, especially for my Moors. I said I'm always save lives as I travel. So peace, 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 peace. I'll give y'all some wisdom, especially for those that's inquiring about the science and what's really valid, especially for my people in Flint, Michigan. When I talk about the Moorish Science Temple of America, which is historic. If anybody knows, it's been on Martin Luther King ever since we was little kids, kind of Kenny Quarter from like Gundry Elementary School. I got pictures from back in the day. So when I talk about the temple and how things were set up in the temple and what the Moorish Science Temple, what we profess and what we teach our people, our nationality and our spirituality, none of this stuff you see on the internet. We have a proclamation, we have a declaration, we have a state booklet. And so I'm gonna illuminate a couple things that you might hear on social media, and I'm gonna clear it up real fast so you don't get anything misconstrued from these groups. No matter how old the person say they are, age has nothing to do with what's right or wrong. Remember that. Age has nothing to do with what's right and what's wrong. Remember that. So when I talk about the temple, when I talk about the Moorish Science Temple of America, which you cannot just get things off the internet and think you have a first hand understanding. It's just like any other organization that you be a part of. People will profess things, people will say things, but you really, really, really have to deal, how can I say, compare and be introduced to things so you can have a real eye and make things make sense. So share this, y'all. All my Moors, all my brothers that's interested in this science, share it so we can walk out the house with understanding. I challenge people to share what I'm talking about. For all my Moors, I'm gonna give it a second. This is very interesting. I shared this previously. I'm gonna share it again, so no one can get anything misconstrued. Because remember, people can say anything. I can say, "Hey, I graduated from such and such university with a such and such degree." If I say that, then I can be looked up. It's easily. You can look up the time I graduated, this time, XYZ. So if I say I accomplished something, no, if it's in law, if it's in academia, if it's with Peace Noble Lamart, if it's with anything that's dealing with any type of record keeping, you should be able to look not only myself up or any individual that's professing these things, right or wrong. Watch this. For all my Moors, that's righteous, that may not have known. When I say you got to admit when things are being brought to you, for you can operate the right way. You should share this. Don't bury this in a shallow grave. All the Moors that I see follow me with fezzes on, just in case. All nobles that wear fezzes and things like that, we should be bringing things together. We should be a think tank. We shouldn't be disrespecting each other. We should be loving each other, just like any form of academia, any form of scholarship, any form of higher levels of wisdom. Because I'm just giving a schoolmaster. I haven't even went to advanced wisdom yet. But I'll bring documents to you so you can start asking yourself questions. You can be like, wait a minute. The things that these people were saying is not even valid. And they know it. So people, you can't say a person is sincerely wrong. They have a motive. What? To lead people in burning houses. Watch this. Watch this. Now, I already talked about a document, and my Mufti Lamarck is on here. He's on my, my Facebook page. And when I talk about the recorder of deeds, the register of Torrens, title of Cook County, Illinois. So, do anybody know what that means? Watch this. So when I talk about documents, when I talk about things that's precedent, when I talk about anything someone says or professes, we should be able to look it up. Let's deal with the science. So I'm going to deal with a letter. Listen clearly. Listen to the date. July 8th, 2016. Now this is modern. It's addressed to Sheikh Lionel Love L, Sheikhess Mota D Love L, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Moorish Home Office at gmail.com. With all due respect, Sheikh and Sheikhess Love L. Let me read this to you guys. So you can, when I say people can say whatever, people can promulgate whatever they want to. But we have the right, as truth seekers, as philosophers, dealing with brothers like myself that deal with wisdom, can say, yeah, I hear you, but on the contrary. So let's deal with it. In the past few days, the Cook County Recorder of Deeds, acronym CCRD, has received several forms of emails, correspondence from you regarding concerns that you have involving the organizational document and other documents relating to the Moorish Science Temple of America, acronym MSTA. I am writing to address the concerns and clarify the role that the CCRD has as the custodian of public records. Many of your concerns were raised in the form of numbered questions. The CCRD's response to these questions are as follows, and I quote eloquently with a silver tongue, brothers and sisters. Number one, in her capacity as the Register of Torrens titles, what is the full scope of the fiduciary duty owed to the document 1010-5905? This is what these Moors be saying, like that means something. And the resultant entity, the Moorish Science Temple of America, as the body politic, named in said document. Here go the response. After reading your question, I assume that you are asking what the recorder's duties and responsibilities are in relation to this and other documents. In this regard, the recorder has two specific duties and responsibilities. Number uno, first, the recorder is responsible for recording documents that are entitled to be recorded. Did you hear what I said? Number one, the recorder is responsible for doing what? Recording documents that are entitled to be recorded. Number two, the recorder has a responsibility of being what? Custodians of what? All recorded documents. Listen clearly. The document 1010-5905 is an affidavit of organization under the Religious Corporation Act, 805 ILCS 110ET.SEQ under the Religious Corporation Act. And there are specific requirements that need to be met in order for a document to be recorded pursuant to that act. When you see 805 ILCS 110-36, at the time that this document was presented to the CCRD, acronym is the County Clerk Recorder of Deeds. It met all of the requirements and it was recorded. Listen what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, with all due respect. As custodians for this document and other recorded documents, unless specifically restricted by law, because law governs all events, the documents are made available for purchase by the public. When I say available by the public, just like if I say I graduated from this university or this university, anybody can research and see what I'm saying for the public, with all due respect. You can see precedent in law case, doc number 55 ILCS 5-4/4, dash 12002. In other words, if a custodian requires to purchase a certified or non-certified copy of this document from the County Clerk Recorder of Deeds, the County Clerk Recorder of Deeds will provide such a copy to the customer if they pay the requested fee. Everybody know I'm telling the truth. The CCRD has no other duties and responsibilities relating to this particular document. In other words, the CCRD is simply a custodian of this record and makes this available to the public for a fee. I hope y'all following me. What are the procedures for filing documents under the 805 ILCS Religious Corporation Act related to property, mortgage, notes, etc., and so on? Let's deal with it. The response: real estate related documents such as property deeds, mortgages, or notes are not recorded under the Religious Corporation Act. For the recording requirements for real estate related documents, please see the state recording statute at 55 ILCS 5ET.SEQ. Now these are just facts. Nobody can be mad of what I'm saying. What are the procedures for including the Moorish Science Temple of America to the list of body politics on file with the Cook County Recorder of Deeds? Here go the response. The CCRD does not maintain a list of body politics. With this said, as mentioned above, the CCRD accepts documents relating to the organization and corporation of religious entities under the Religious Corporation Act. And the document that you are concerned with, document number 1010-5905, has already been recorded by the CCRD. I hope y'all listening to what I'm saying. Elementary wisdom, my friend. So question 4, isn't it true that the accordance to provisions made possible for the body politics under home rule, that documentation and laws of the Moorish Science Temple of America as a body politic are applicable to the management of said trust? Here go the response. The CCRD is unaware of what specific documentation and laws are applicable to the management of any trust maintained by or for the benefit of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I would like to note that the Religious Corporation Act states that trustees of religious corporations, of organizations, shall have the care, the custody, and control of the real and personal property of that organization. So if they got anything, which they be lying, you know it's nothing but Fuji dust. See precedent in law, 805 ILCS 110-43. The CCRD is not a trustee of any trust or trust assets being held by or for the benefit of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I hope y'all listening to what I'm saying without a shadow of a doubt. I don't care what no one's saying. I stand on what I'm saying. Has this office done any competent research to determine who are the current executive rulers of the ADAPT chambers of the Moorish Science Temple of America, aka sheiks with powers and duties similar to that of a trustee? Now listen to the language and listen to what the law said when people say they went to court and they did this. The response, it is my understanding that the current sheiks of the Moorish Science Temple of America are reflected in the recorded documents that amend document number 1010-5905. And if there are any changes to the trustees of the organizations that are not reflected in the documents, the CCRD will not be aware of them. Are y'all listening to what I'm saying? Like this is just basic common knowledge. Remember what did I just say? That's simple. If these things would change and all that, and people didn't change their records and things, how the record holders of what you say is gonna know? That's too common. That makes too much sense. And is this office aware that the only founder, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, has the authority to issue document 1010-5905, and such has such been the case since 8/1/1929. Listen to this. Response. Although I am unclear what you mean by issuing the document, but part of the recorder's duties include maintaining recorded documents and providing certified and non-certified copies of recorded documents for sale to the public. Remember, I gave you precedent in law case 55 ILCS 5/4-12002. And then the last one, 7. Is this office aware that the unauthorized issuance and collections of funds resulting from said issuance constitutes a breach, where was I at? Wait a minute. Constitute a breach of the register's fiduciary duty as custodians, criminal fraud, embezzlement, etc., and so on? Listen to the response. Listen clearly. Listen clearly, my brothers and sisters. Your position is legally and factually incorrect. Please see the relevant statutory authority reference above. Now, let's deal with the summary. In some of your correspondence, you indicate that the CCRD, which is the County Clerk Recorder of Deeds, has refused to file certain real estate and non-real estate related documents and index them under the trust number 1010-5905. To be clear, document number 1010-5905 is not a trust document. This document is simply an affidavit of organization under the Religious Corporation Act. What this means is that the document serves as a record that the Moorish Science Temple of America is organized, incorporated as a religious corporation under the Religious Corporation Act. And the CCRD is not a trustee of any trust or trust assets maintained by or for the benefit of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And that responsibility lies on what? That entity, which is the Moorish Science Temple of America. And if you are having difficulty recording certain documents in our office, we're talking about the County Clerk Recorder of Deeds, please refer to the recording requirements referred to in the legal authority that was just cited previously. Now listen to this. Finally, you indicate that you would like Moorish Science Temple of America to place employees in the CCRD, the County Clerk of Recorder of Deeds, for various purposes. Listen clearly, and I quote eloquently. State law clearly indicates that you have no authority to demand that you employ members of your congregation in our office. The recorder has the right to control the internal operations of her office. See 55 ILCS 5-3-5005.2. And so when you see this, you can research this up. If you have any further questions regarding this letter, please submit in writing to James Gleif, Cook County Governor. James Gleif, Chief Legal Counsel, Cook County Recorder of Deeds. This was in 2016. Right? Okay. So, oh boy, this hit me up here like you damn right. You crazy, bro. But it's just the truth, man. And so even when we talk about like it's like references how we can really correct our brothers and sisters when I say if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. You always hear me say that phrase. You always hear me say that phrase. So if I say the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. Now it's people that put their names on things that done some things and peace amongst their flesh and their soul, and then and not only they got themselves in trouble, but they got other individuals in trouble. But what the prophet brought in the right manifestation was a beautiful thing. So when I talk about the state booklet, remember, let me see. Okay, I'm only gonna go for a certain time because I want people to get with us. You know, it's a state booklet how the prophet set the temple up. You know, so you can just look at people and be like, man, we don't have time for none of these games. Remember, as I always say, that we greet Moors and love, true peace, freedom, and justice. With high honors to the great God, Allah. Not none outside of ourselves, but you know, when we say Allah, I hope you know what we mean. The Father of the universe and the holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and all prophets. We wish to expound on how the Moorish Science Temple of America was declared a recognized free national government throughout the earth. And sometimes, as Moorish Americans in this new era of time, a lot of us struggle on explaining who we are within such an ignorant and unconscious society, being based in the color of law and the concept of, you know, Western Christianity per se. But in reality, if we teach and do this great work, as a government properly does, while running this ecclesiastical body politic and corporate, then people on all levels will understand by our works and deeds and maybe fulfill this divine and national movement as well. Our prophet Noble Drew Ali always stated, and I always agree with these sayings, a beggar nation cannot attain to its highest spirituality. And the prophet always said, I will keep, you know, certain individuals here long enough to teach you how to run a government. So if these things are here to teach you a lesson, these things are what? Tools in the toolbox. So let's stop begging for what we should be working hard to retrieve, but retrieve it ourselves. Because the prophet is keeping certain individuals here long enough to teach us how to run a government. With all due respect. You've seen it, I've seen it. You know? This is where we should learn how to do. So in this pamphlet, in this tittle of wisdom, in this little degree that I'm going to illuminate to my brothers and sisters to help you realize how serious this divine and national movement really is. And expound on what our mission still is. And our mission is to do what? Uplift fallen humanity. All nations have missions to fulfill, and we will appoint missionaries to make certain that the missions are taken care of. So I hope many more take from this little degree that I'm going to give, this little tittle of cipher, a precious value and understanding and knowledge of the free national government being incorporated under the Hurd Smith revised status of the state of Illinois as an ecclesiastical body politic. You have to understand that. And a corporate. So when we talk about things like the Vatican, you got to remember it was incorporated under this particular act as well since the 29 per se. And in this degree that I'm going to give, it's a very tittle, or how can I say, a basic concept of Moorish Science Temple of America. And this little degree is to the best of my knowledge, and we can always add to it because it's nothing to take away, but we definitely can add to. So, as I deal with the degree of the state booklet, how the prophet set things up, and we're going to just go through a little degree. Let me get a little libations. This is going to be a beautiful cipher. So let's begin and explain the definition of a state per se, right? In this context. Listen to this degree. A state is a people permanently occupying a fixed territory, bound together by what? Common law, these habits and customs, into one body politic, exercising through the medium of an organized government, independent, sovereignty, and control over all persons and things within its boundaries, capable of, this and peace. You know what I'm saying? Capable of this and peace. Listen to me. And of entering into international relations with other communities of the globe. A political unity, concretely viewed, a state is a body politic possessing what? Sovereignty. Listen, any body politic possessing sovereignty is entitled to be called what? A state. Think about what I'm saying. This is a good characteristic to describe the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School as well. The people described in this state would be described as the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. By definition of state, the fixed territory for our state would be what? Northwest, southwest, northeast, and northwest of Maxima, per se. If we want to deal with those names, but you should know what those are on a common map, with all due respect. And the common law habits would be focused towards our practices and the Chapter 32 of the Heard Smith Revised Statutes of the State of Illinois. We're talking about establishing. Remember this, how a certain things was established. And by definition of state, listen clearly, the character who will have independent sovereignty in our state is what? The prophet. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali is a true sovereign. Listen to the wisdom, no matter if you like it or not. We're talking about the degree, just like if it was you and I. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a sovereign body. The Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School is a sovereign body. And we are not sovereigns, but members of a sovereign body, politic and corporate. Now listen to the wisdom and the linguistics. In comparison with the term state, let's now define the term body politic. You must listen to the words specifically and be able to use these words. Body politic is defined as a social compact by which the whole people, what do? They covenant with each citizen, and each citizen with the whole people, that all shall be governed by certain laws for the common good. I hope y'all stand in context. Also a term applied to a municipal, a corporation, a school district, a county, a city, a state, or a public associations. That's 7 degrees. And we're looking at the term government, we can see that this term has a connection with the term state. Why? Watch this. Because the body politic and the body corporate, and we can understand that similarities of these particular terms. Because government derives from the Latin term, what? Gubernaculums. Gubernaculums. Research what your brother telling you, which is defined as a system of polity in a state, that form of fundamental rules and principles by which a nation or a state is governed. Now, brothers and sisters, polity is the form of government, whether theocracy, federal, anarchy, etc., and so on. There are many forms of government, but this particular form of government that the Moorish Science Temple of America is known is a theocracy. Listen to what your brother's telling you, the degree of what I'm saying. A theocracy is defined as what? A government of a state by the immediate direction or by the assumed direction of postitious divinity, or the state is governed. Now listen clearly. As members of the body politic, we recognize the Creator, God Allah, alone guides this divine and national movement. A theocratic entity differs from the form of a secular entity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, is a divine and national movement that has divine laws and holy laws that each member are to uphold and preserve. If we are to earn the name of faithful as afforded by Act 7 of the Moorish Divine Constitution and our bylaws. This is simple research. This is nothing complex what I'm talking about. And the Moorish Science Temple of America was established as a religious corporation. Why do you say that, Sheik? Okay, by following the affidavit of organization. the document 1010-5905, the form 1099, recorded in the Recorder of Deeds office in the county of Cook, the state of Illinois, when? August 1st, 1928 AD, at 2:52 p.m. At that time, through this affidavit, the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave birth to a what? A free national government. How? As an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate under the revised statutes of the state of Illinois, chapter 36, section 36. You can look up this stuff yourself. It's a lot of more science that go with things, but I don't want to get into those type of things of he says and she says, of time periods and how things line up on a certain way with the constellation. But some people say it's just happenstance, but we're not going to go there. Let's skip a part and get to this part. Oh, we on good time. The Hurd-Smith Revised Statute, Chapter 32, and Act Concerning Corporations, Section 36, Religious Corporation Acts, played a huge origin. Remember what I say origin. Origin is establishment on establishing the Moorish Science Temple of America as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate. So when people say the Moorish Science Temple of America, which I say is only one, and it's only one prophet, how can any subordinate temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America not operate under the Hurd's Revised Statutes, Chapter 32, Section 36? Because this act clearly states that one, any church, congregation, or society formed for the purpose of religious worship may become what? Incorporated in the matter following by, when you see electing should be crossed out. Appointing, according to its usages and customs, at any meeting held for that purpose, two or more trustees, warden, or vestrymen, or such officers who have powers and duties are similar to trustees. Remember we said that earlier. I shall be agreeable to the usage and the customs, the rules or regulations of such congregation, church, or society, and may adopt a corporate name, and upon the filing of the affidavit, as hereafter provided, it shall be and remain a body politic and corporate by name so adopted. Research P.A. 81-1509. See, we deal with wisdom. We can't let people play with things that's righteous. So you can see when you study the Religious Corporation Act and glance at the affidavit of organization, which is the original form, number 1099, you will see that our Prophet Noble Drew Ali followed the substantial form of this revised statute, and then expressly organized a ecclesiastical body politic and corporate, known as what? The Moorish Science Temple of America, by that name so adopted. A lot of times when I say DBA, and people say, what you mean, Sheik? And I say, well, doing business as. But that's a whole nother business conversation. But in this little small degree, we will end all the confusion and foolishness of those who say the Prophet did not establish a nation state. And I know many conspirator hearts are beating rapidly now, so we can speed up a lot of people's rapidness or their doubt per se. Many people might ask, how was this body politic and corporate duly established? Okay, well, this is simple. The answer is by how? Filing in the County of Cook Recorder of Deeds office an affidavit substantially expressed by the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, himself being the presiding officer. He swore that the meeting of the members was held. He stated facts of our power and authority, and having the sheiks duly appointed, anointed, and consecrated. This instrument is well known as what? Our authority. But it's really titled what? The Affidavit of Organization. And by definition, an organization can include a wide range of entities. Remember, words have synonyms. Organization is defined as what? Corporation, government or subdivision, agency, trust, estate, partnership, association, two or more persons having a joint interest, or any other legal or commercial entity. Look at the plethora of jointness that how can I say? It's synonymous to the same thing. When we're talking about an organization, all the things that fall under that organization umbrella. So when you dig a little deeper, in order to organize as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate, at this time when the prophet set the temple up, a church, a society, a congregation, pursuant to the laws of the Heard Smith revised statutes of the state of Illinois, the affiant had to file in the office of the recorder of deeds. These are just facts, how the temple was set up. Substantially in the following form of the Heard's Religious Society Act of 1872, Chapter 32, Section 36, codified by the General Assembly as 805 ILCS 110-36, from Chapter 32, Paragraph 165, Section 36. And you can read it, but I don't want to read it, but it's there. And if you want this document, I can get it to you. And such affidavit or a copy thereof duly certified by the recorder shall be received as evidence of the due incorporation of such congregation, church, or society. And they got the precedent and doc number, PA 91-357 EFF.7 2299. Everything is there for you to see with your own eye. And then, I don't know if y'all can see this, but I'll show it a little bit. This the document what was filed when the prophet signed did the affidavit for the Moorish Science Temple. All in the state booklet. All in the state booklet. So when people saying things, this stuff can be easily cleared up when people act like they don't know. Yes, we know. All the stuff is in here. How the temple set up, the date, the signature, what the prophet's saying, all the whole thing with the seal. With the seal on it. All in the state booklet. All in the state booklet. How Noble Drew Ali established the temple. With all due respect. And this is the revised statute that our prophet Noble Drew Ali used to substantially draft out the affidavit of the organization, recorded in the County of Cook Recorder of Deeds office. Remember, he swore that this affidavit of organization to himself, signing as Drew Ali, but filing as Noble Drew ALLI Ali. So when you take the time to understand, he acted as a private person or a private entity in the form of two characters. Remember, when I always talk about what? When you doing business as. But that's a whole nother conversation, but it's really easy to explain. When you're doing certain things, nobody will tell you. He also appointed persons as sheiks, and we could talk about that later. Now remember, the Moorish Science Temple of America derived its power and authority from the great Quran of Muhammad to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great prophet Ali in America. Now you got to understand what I'm saying. This is a very important statement of this affidavit because it shows that we are given a divine mission to promulgate the faith in America. And this particular Quran of Muhammad, also known as the Holy Quran of Mecca, is the divine instruction of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, passed down to all Moorish American children of all ages. And every Muslim is born and not made. And those who love this divine and national movement, founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, will take heed to this divine words, because they are spirit of truth within the highest plane of life. As in the Holy Quran of Mecca of the Moorish Science Temple of America is to teach man how to redeem himself, herself, from our sinful ways and bring ourselves back to our original state of consciousness before we lost this vast estate. Now remember, what's the vast estate? We're talking about ourselves. And this Holy Quran is the highest authority known to the holy laws among the earth, because it's based on the essence of divine laws given from the prophet through his father God Allah, and his holy book, where the Moorish Science Temple of America derived its power and authority from, according to the said affidavit of organization. Learn from these divine instructions of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali on how to conduct your lifestyle in a way that lower self can be circumscribed and the higher self perfected. And there are rules and usages of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and these rules will consist of Moorish divine constitution and bylaws, the Book of Humanity, the Holy Quran, the Circle 7 per se. Every statement issued by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali to the Moorish Americans should be honored in the spirit along that narrow path that we walk, because he is an angel sent to bring us everlasting gospels. If we're going to pertain it to something that's brought to us, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, when we talk about a rule in this context, a rule is an established standard, a guide or regulation, a principle or a regulation set up by authority, prescribing or directing actions or forbearance, as the rules of a legislative body, of a company, a court, a public office, of the laws of ethics. So the 5 principles that we stand on is, I hope everybody know, is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Uphold these principles to the best of our advantage, because by living by these principles, we are in accordance with the holy and divine laws of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and we do not choose to live by hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, or theft. And now that we know the rules of this state, now we have to go into the customs and usages. This stuff is very, very simple. This stuff is not complex. Customs and usages are defined as, and I quote eloquently, a usage or practice of the people by common acquaintance and by long and varying habit, has become compulsory and has acquired the force of a law with respect to the place or subject matter to which it relates. So the question is, what do members of the Moorish Science Temple and the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School have as far as customs? And the customs that we have are what we practice, of course, brothers and sisters. And these are the 5 highest principles that we practice daily, which is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And our Moorish American prayer is a custom at the opening and closing of the Circle 7 meetings, and celebrating the Prophet's birthday on January 8th and our Authority Day on July 20th. Each year are also customs. When we wear our fez, and you get your fez from a sheikh, a brother that can anoint that fez, or your turban, wearing your tunic, cotton or silk, coming to class, standing on your square, those are the things that are customs. We have to honor our forefathers and our foremothers, teaching our people that they are not Negro, black, and colored, or African Americans or Ethiopians, is also a custom and method of uplifting. Another custom is flying our flag of our ancestors, which is known as the Moorish flag and representing the American flag. It's just understanding. It's just understanding. There's no hate. I can go deeper with the wisdom, but I just want to be politically correct. And when we look at the definition of body politic, think about this. We realize that there are important actions that citizens, nationals, and subjects are to make a custom with themselves. One action that I can always talk about is known as coveting. So what you mean, Sheikh? Remember, the religious laws trump everything. So when I talk about coveting of a citizen, is an agreement or a promise of 2 or more parties by what deed in writing, signed and delivered, by which each of the parties pledge him or herself to these things, that something is either done or shall be done or shall not be done, or stipulates for the truth of certain facts. So when you just stop right there and think about it, myself, as Moorish Americans, when we come from this degree, here in America, Amexima, now commonly known as America, whatever you want to call it, but I'm just using these phrases that we like to use, under the divine leadership of the Holy Prophet teachings, we are to attend to covenants, but in place under this body politic. Think about that. There is but one covenant for the unity of the Asiatic nation, and this covenant is also known as what? A holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Think about that. This is the reference to chapter 25 of our Holy Quran, our Circle 7 of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And this just small degree, just small cipher was divinely prepared by our prophet Nobudur Ali. But when we use these specifics, when we covenant through the holy covenant of the Asiatic nations, we covenant with the whole people, and the whole people covenant with you and I. So what I'm saying, brothers and sisters, to covenant is to make a pledge. Pledge has a broad definition, by the main focus for now is that it is a promise or agreement by which one binds him or herself to do, or forbears him or herself to do, or forbear something. And the promise or agreements are the conditions of the pledge itself. Now watch this. And when thinking about, let's just use these certain phrases for speaking points, you as citizens, we always wonder why the 14th Amendment citizens pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. When I tell people you cannot use that 14th Amendment stuff, because if the 13th Amendment freed this and that and the other, what's the use of the 13th and the 14th and the 15th Amendment? When we talk about manumissions, but that's a whole nother conversation. When you think being born here makes you a citizen per se, in this context, it's not true. When you're really dealing with civics, when we talk about these things as being naturalized and not nationalized, when we talk about these two different things, when we have conversations with wisdom and understanding, not from anger and not from hate, but from wisdom and understanding, it's a big difference. I'm going to go further in this if we have time to go through this degree. But to lawfully be a subject or a citizen of any form of government in this context, depending on the rules and customs of that society, under its constitution and government, one must do what? Subscribe and take a what? An oath to its constitution and what? Government. Right? Of course. And this goes for proclaimed Moorish Americans as well. Now think about it. By taking an oath of amnesty and reconstruction of the Emancipation Proclamation, an executive order issued by President Abraham Lincoln in 1865. You are a true citizen, you are a true American citizen. And this oath is subscribed by a Grand Sheik, which is an officer lawfully authorized to administer such an oath. And then such an oath has to be recorded where? In the county. Now, when I always talk about the Moorish Science Temple of America, it's only one. It's only one prophet. It's only one temple. That's all I'm saying. And when I say things and when I speak about things, when I talk about things that's precedented, I always talk about doing things what? The right way. I always talk about that, and I'll always stand on it. Remember that. Remember that. I have a temple in school, but when we talk about things and when we make things plain, it's not hard. I'm part of the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's why I'm going to always be to give the degree, regardless how anyone feel. And when a member of the body politic and corporate takes an oath of amnesty and reconstruction, he or she becomes a part and parcel of said government and returns back to the family of nations. Think about what I'm saying, which is the Asiatic nations. So when we say the term said denotes something declared or before mentioned. So a lot of times when brothers, when they look on a nationality card from the Moorish Science Temple of America, he declared us as a Muslim under the divine laws of the Quran of Mecca, love, true peace, freedom, and justice. Then he showed us that we are a citizen of the USA, coming out of a rebellious state. We have to take the said oath to be a citizen of the perpetual union again. Now remember, I talk about the religious laws trump everything. If you don't understand these things, you really have to be educated on these things. You really have to be educated on your nationality and your spirituality. You really, really have to be educated on these things. You really have to be educated on the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, the House Joint Resolution 75, the Declaration of Proclamation that was signed by mayors in the 80s, all these things that you can look up that's precedented. So when we talk about things that's done, the house is built, the furniture is there. And the term said government has been used in the Moorish Divine Constitution and bylaws a couple of times, specifically in Act 4 and 6 and 7. Remember, it denotes a government in a former time. Listen to this power, how the temple was set up. To be a part of the said government is to be an equivalent of whether a citizen, subject, or even property through citizenship or nationalization. And the term parcel refers to a part or portion of the land, and a part of an estate, aka parcel, as used with reference to land, generally means a continuous quantity of land in the possession of an owner. Listen what I'm saying. And the estate that we partly own will be broke down later. Because I got to give you a little by little for you can understand, so you can clear yourself up. You got to understand what I'm saying. To be part and parcel of the so-called said government is to be a member of the perpetual union of the USA. And in this existing rebellion, like the Confederacy, we talking about these times when things was written and things how established, because we talking about things that can be precedented. This is why members who take an oath of amnesty and reconstruction are congratulated and welcomed back to the family of nations. Just think about things. This is true that the USA Republic form of government in this land of our ancestors here, right here in America. But the question in mind, I ask you, by taking the oath, the covenant, and proclaiming your nationality as Moorish Americans under Act 6, are we members of two states, the Perpetual Union and the Moorish Science Temple of America? It makes you think about how deep, the prophet was. But the answer, when I say, is yes and no. Watch this. Now that we know that we are true citizens of the USA, another question on many minds is, how is a Moorish American duly a member of a sovereign body politic? And that's easy. There has to be conditions set for members intended by the founder for both of us to be agreed upon. And if this is to be successfully taking place, so thankfully, in our Act 6 of the Moorish Divine Constitution and the bylaws of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that's the agreement between the members and the founders. See, is this not a pledge as well? For all my brothers that wear fezzes and understand this wisdom, you should have this. This is just a schoolmaster. The Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali expressed that to be a Moorish American member of this body politic, you have to proclaim it, teach our people the nationality, the Moorish American and the divine creed, faith and understanding, and wisdom and understanding, and all science and prophets. To know that we are a Negro, black or color, or Ethiopians, and proclaim a free national name, El or Bay, and you annex it. And in exchange, the person and effects will be redeemed by the Holy Prophet and an inhabitant of the north and south and western shores of Africa, America, per se. I don't want people to get caught up in certain words that'll get you caught up because you don't know what people really be saying when they say, oh, we on this type of time, we on that type of time. No, man, we're not going to do that. We're going to break things down from an understanding for you can look at it for yourself and give it to you for you can touch it, for you can clear things up, misunderstandings. It's only one prophet. It's only one temple. So I'll talk about it a little bit more. I got a few more minutes and I'm out. But the holy state, we talk about the fee simple absolute. It's defined as an estate, limited absolutely to a man and his heirs, and assigns forever without limitation and condition. An absolute or fee simple estate is one in which the owner is entitled to the whole property with unconditional power or disposition during one's life and descending to the heirs and legal representatives upon one's death. Interstate. You can set up a type of trust like that. When a person can write on your behalf, in law, it's a certain phrase, and it can also happen when you pass. But such estate is unlimited as to duration, disposition, and descendant ability, meaning when a person passed, et cetera, and so on. But by this fee simple absolute, man or grantor or the estate will be the prophet in its context, And the heirs would be what? The Moorish Americans with the free national name, El Erbay, next to the name that your mama gave you at birth. So that's why I always tell Moors, don't throw away your name for a morsel of bread. And since our prophet Noble Drew Ali is the owner of the whole property, just stay in context, the position of the estate is the holder in due course. And the holder in due course is defined as a holder who takes an instrument for value, right, in good faith, and without notice that it is overdue or has been dishonored, or of any defense against or claim to it on the part of any person. A payee may be a holder in due course, right? So as Moorish American beneficiaries, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is the holder in due course of any and all lawful instruments, real or personal estates. When we talk about the Moorish Zion Temple of America, we just clearing this nonsense up, y'all. It's not hard. And since the Moorish Zion Temple of America, because he is the owner of the whole entire property, just like myself and my brothers that established the Burning Bush Tabernacle, the same way, once it is transferred to him, this is likewise when the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali grants the land described to us. Now, when you understand what land is, you got to understand. A transfer of land lawfully takes place when one falls in accordance with what? The deed of conveyance and the fee simple absolute deed. Read Act 6 of the Moorish Divine Constitution and the bylaws and our deed of conveyance. Read what Act 6 says. With us, all members must do what? Proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that we are part and parcel of this said government, and know that we are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men and women now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which we live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways, and people like myself today in the flesh and all other true seekers. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwest and southwest shores of Africa. And I know that there is such confusion as to what land is the Moorish Zion Temple of America, and this particular man is described as the 1928 vast estate in the Holy Quran, Circle 7, chapter 47, verse 1 through 7. Verse 1 through 6 is the biblical description of the landmass, and 7 is the geographical landmass of the fee simple absolute. And this is what is known as the lawful description of the land, right? It is best to use longitude and latitude when describing the land coordinations by metes and bounds. And all of our life, we've been taught to describe parcels by lot, block, subdivision, or an assessor's PIN number, remember? And this is what is known as a graveyard cemetery description. And what better way than to describe unconscious people dead in the eyes of the law? And this graveyard cemetery describes only exists legally within the realms of you know what, the U.S. And this is how we were plucked off certain things. When you see things that's written in code or analogy or parable or symbology, when you read Deuteronomy 28 and 63, do not think even areas like Illinois actually consist geographically within the boundaries of certain empires. So I just want us to understand these little small understandings, because you can cross-reference things in Genesis 13 and 15, how I just cross-reference things like the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. You can cross-reference that in Genesis 13 and 15. Remember Genesis 10 and 6, Genesis 9 and 18, 10 and 15 and 19, when they talk about Cush and his family are the inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. So it's so many things when we talk about connections. And so from reading these Bible scriptures and the divine instructions of the Holy Quran, Circle 7, you can understand how both connections, with how they connect with each other. Because verse 7 is described by metes and bounds of the said fee simple absolute. And now we know that we are inheritors of all of the land described. If you understand what I just said previously, how do you receive it back? It has to be received through a trust. And now when we talk about these things, we have to be specific and have a clear understanding. And I'm talking about how the prophet set the temple up. Persons, trust, title of the holy state. In this degree, first we will go into the sheiks of the Moorish Temple of America. And according to paragraph 164 of the Herds Smith, there shall be 2 or more of his members as trustees, wardens, and vestrymen, or such officers whose powers and duties are similar to those of trustees, as shall be agreeable to the usages, the customs, the rules, the regulations of such congregation, church, or society. And easily by reading this paragraph, you can clearly get an idea on why there were 5 sheiks, officers, trustees, noticeable on the affidavit of organization. And at that time, these sheiks were Noble Drew Ali, Miliel, Maul Bey, Lovett Bey, and Foreman Bey. And it notes that these sheiks were and are government officials as well as sheiks now within this said organization. I hope you hear what I'm saying. And were these sheiks appointed or elected? So according to the affidavit, these sheiks were appointed, not elected. Elected is the official significance with its idea of a vote. So persons of the Moorish Temple of America were not voted in, but appointed. So it's obvious on why the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali crossed out elected and put appointed. So let's look at the term appointed, brothers and sisters. Appointed means to assign authority to a particular use, task, position, office. This is also why the prophet used the term appointed, because power and authority was given to the sheiks, who were appointed, anointed, and consecrated missionaries of the prophet. And those who want power and authority will have to go to the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for permission in this context. And all who gain the power and authority from the prophet should stay, I don't like the word humble, but I say in a form of gratitude and charity. And we always, all of us will be rewarded. And what types of entities were appointed? The answer is persons per se. And you notice the term person on the affidavit of organization was in all caps. Now remember that. Now watch this. As most people would ridiculously express, you didn't know what you did. Sheiks are what is considered interest persons per se, which include heirs, devices, children, spouses, creditors, beneficiaries, and others having a property right in or claim against a trust estate or the estate of a descendant, a ward or protected person, which may be affected by the proceeding. It also includes person having priority for appointment as personal representatives and other fiduciaries representing interest persons. So the meaning as it relates to particular persons may vary from time to time and must be determined according to what? The particular purpose of and matter involved in any proceeding. Watch this. We almost done. To act on behalf of a person, you can carry out and enforce the functions of that person. Watch this. Under the state of whatever, you are authorized by them to act as what? An agent. All of our lives, we work unknowingly under a fictitious person. With all due respect, that was given to us by the state. It's just due respect. And this person is basically viewed as an image when you understand how to do business. With all due respect. With all due respect. I'm telling people, when we talk about the reflection that was constructively created and held under, how can we say, constructed trust. When we talk about U.S. citizens are only third-party entities that receive certain privileges and benefits in exchange for protections. With all due respect, I ain't talking about just some, I'm talking about all. Afforded by the U.S. Constitution, but if protections results to stealing your so-called rights and your human rights, which people say your birthrights, your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness and inheritance, then why would you love being a so-called U.S., So then people talk about that 14th Amendment citizens are beneficiaries of the constructive trust of that state, and constructive trust is a trust that was constructed by an act of a party, i.e., the 14th and the 15th Amendment. Think about what I be saying, and if you don't know the laws that hold you, then you won't even know that you were even held, and still being in these certain ramifications. I wouldn't like to call nothing secret, but just the understanding and the education. There is no secret. The person is not you physically. That's being held as a descriptive person. You act on behalf of. So when you take the time to understand, when I talk about like trust law, with all respect, you should understand that. Other nationalities, they teach this at a young age. This is the key to holding property and land with protections granted by the truster. And you can't be a trustee without a trust, can you? You can't. So what's the point of having sheiks in such a responsible position with no trust? In reality, a trust was created and with intent by the truster, the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Watch this. A trust was established by the truster, the prophet. The trust is known as the 1928 Vast Estate Express Trust. And such a trust you would have to express through the instrument and deeds of the truster, who had the sole intent to create what? A trust. Watch this. So a trust is defined as a legal entity created by a grantor for the benefit of designated beneficiaries under the laws of the state and the valid trust instrument, right? Therefore, the trustees hold a fiduciary responsibility to manage the trust assets and income for the economic benefit of all the beneficiaries. And if you guess that the Moorish Science Temple of America holds an express trust, then you are on your square. Think about it. This is the trust that we hold to prove that we are heirs, successors, trustees, and beneficiaries. Express trust is a direct trust. This is a trust declared in express terms, and usually in writing, and distinguished from the inferred by the act of a party, from the conduct of dealing with the negotiable parties. It's all in your Moorish Quran. It's all in your teachings. Remember Act 6, that's a trust which is created by the direct and positive acts of the parties, by writing or deed or will, or by words expressly or implemented, right? Evidency and intention to create this form of a trust. And the point I'm expressing for this definition is that it states by writing or deed or will. Now remember, writings and deeds were expressed due to our valid trust instruments that the truster, the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, left to the Moorish Americans. So before we go into the deed and writings that denotes the trust existence, you got to look at the term deed. Now, when you see the term deed, it's defined as a conveyance of what? Realty, a writing signed by a grantor, whereby title to realty is transferred from one to another. A writing instrument signed and delivered by which one person conveys land, tenements, and herdiments to another. And there are deeds that establish the transfer of the vast estate by the grantor, our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, to the grantee. And the deeds are the Holy Quran, Circle 7, Chapter 47, verse 1 through 7. This is the 1928 Vast Estate and Chapter 6 of the Moorish Divine Constitution and Bylaws, which is a deed of conveyance. You see how simple this stuff is? Remember, in common law, what makes these two deeds lawful? It has to be a what? Sealed instrument containing what? A contract of what? Covenant, delivered to the party to be bound thereby, right? And accepted by the party to whom the contract and the covenant runs, right? Therefore, a writing under a seal by which lands, tenements, hertaments, and conveyed for the estate, not less than freehold. So all these things, if you saying, like we always talk about this degree of science, which happening right now, you should want to be correct with everything that's going on with the world. You see what's happening. I hope you being astute to what's going on. I had a meeting today, and a lot of our brothers and sisters just don't know what's going on. But it's a Pandora box being opened, and it's time for us to do what we say we can do. But let me proceed because I got to get out of here. The instruments of the Moorish divine constitution and the bylaws do consist of a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation, and the Act 7 of the Moorish divine constitution and bylaws, which is a divine covenant. Now, once these documents are affixed with the corporate seal of the Moorish Science Temple of America, these transfers are shown lawful, but vary depending on the conditions of the trust. Listen to me. I always say if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. It's only one Moorish Science Temple. And by our people receiving the vast estate through this deed of conveyance, we become fee simple absolute freeholders. Freehold is defined as an estate for life, or in fee. A freehold estate is a right of title to land. Did you catch what I'm saying? Not you going on trying to overthrow something. But if you caught what I'm saying, then you really get into a level of understanding. Remember when a prophet when people profess things like the Sixth International Pan American Conference that was held in Havana, Cuba on the 20th in 1928. Remember when you see things, and I always just give you the wisdom that's been written, because in this certain documents that you can see in the state booklet, he registered the title of our vast estate in the Torrance title system of the Cook County after he received the land from the nations through the Sixth International Pan American Conference held at the Havana, Cuba. Now this is what it says. February 20th, 1928. He registered when you see the divine constitution and bylaws and all that, he registered the title of our vast estate in the Torrance title system of Cook County after he received these lands per se. But what denotes that is the title of the vast estate is the fact that on the affidavit of organization in the upper right-hand corner of the instrument is book number 521, page number 579. And this particular book is of a Torrance title system that registers only titles of fee absolute. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali could only register the title of the vast estate if he is the holder in due course of the estate. So you got to understand why the Prophet said, I brought you your nationality, your religion, and title to your vast estate. Think about these words. This is our requirement to show that he did indeed have an intent to deliver the vast estate to the Moorish American descendants. And there are a few statements that indicating that the Moorish Americans inhabited these land areas, not saying this is your land, but you were here. When you see what an American is in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, you will see the copper color races. I mean, individuals living up on the Mississippi River before the misnomer European, Albion, and Troglodyte even stepped foot on the land, with all due respect. With all due respect. So it's vast topics that we can talk about, that's in the state booklet that can clear a lot of things up, how people get things misconstrued, and a lot of information can be used against you, especially when you say something is more science and it's not. And everything about the temple, how it's set up, the state booklet, the bylaws, the letter I read from the county clerk recorder of deeds. It's no reason no one should be confused and say Noble Drew Ali taught this or Moors taught this. It's a way to do things. And everybody hasn't been to all temples. That's why I created a school Is it a lot of folly going on? Yeah, it is. But that's with everything in the world. So I just want to give that little small degree. And I challenge people to get with me, man. You can get these documents, you can read them yourself, especially if you have study groups, you know? Especially if you have study groups, we should be getting together, especially brothers that follow me and wear the fez. We should be getting together. Because there's much, much more that I can give, especially if you're a young noble. Especially if you're a young noble. You should want to be, at least navigating the right way so you don't have to correct yourself and be made an example of, with all due respect. So that's all I wanted to share with the young brothers and sisters, man, as we travel to a whole nother paradigm. We should have think tanks, we should have panels so we can bring things together. And like I said, if brother need fezzes, turbans, tunics, kufis, she-mags, I got everything for y'all. I ship them out on our company, MorrisHaberdasher.com. We upload more and more items. But if you follow me, you get with me, you know, I give you gifts. Use me for a library and all that good stuff, man. But any information about how the Moorish Science Temple of America is set up is public information. It's public information. The state booklet, the 1099, is so much more I can speak on to really clean this science up. But that'll be from brothers and sisters that may want or may have questions. I can only speak of things what came to me and just go off the dome. But I really love for brothers and sisters to have panels, and I could give precedent in law cases and doc numbers and Free Information Act, and really, 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 really get into the belly of what we're talking about to show you that a lot of things is just fugazi, that a lot of things is Eurocentric and Negrocentric propaganda. Because it ain't if it's not a doc number, a precedent in law case, and if we can't look it up in the Free Information Act, then off the top we have to understand that we have to leave that alone, and we don't get into meaningless arguments and conversation with those type of individuals, right? And so that's where I want us to get today, brothers and sisters that feel a certain way or say we all this or say we're not this. Let's have a cipher, and just like if you was going to academia and we deal with the peer review scholarly research, because there's only one way to do things. So with that, like I say, man, thank y'all for listening to me. What's today? Oh yeah, got some things accomplished. I'll share with y'all tomorrow as I get my day started. But yeah, man, I really really hope people start linking up, and so we can start having this panel, so we can start having different speaking, so brothers and sisters can have their podcasts, and we can start asking. Well, people can start asking specific things, and we can get to the root of a lot of stuff because we need this. And this is, I'm telling y'all, we can really really illuminate a lot of things that's happening from wisdom to where no one will get caught up in no fugazi, and then those individuals will have to explain it because I know it's a lot of questions. I'm still getting them every day. There's so much stuff that I want to show y'all, videos and things. You'll be like, damn, I didn't know these people was doing that and what's happening. So how you can correct yourself as you operating in your understanding and in your truth. So with that being said, man, I love y'all. Thank y'all for your time. Just in case, noble man, get with me, man. I've been seeing you follow me. You know my info. I would love for you to build with me and my muftis. We have class every Saturday and Sunday. We provide so much. I'm just trying to link up with brothers so we can take this to another level, man. And our heart is right. I got a plethora of brothers all over as I travel. I have a full library. I'm willing to share everything that I have with you, no matter who you connected to or if you're not connected to anybody. But brother, I'm here for you. I'm an elder. I got a lot going on. And like I'm saying, we need to start connecting with each other. If brothers need fezzes and turbans and things, we need to start connecting with brothers. If people need books and wisdom, everything I'm talking about today, I don't mind sharing it with people. I don't mind giving things for small donations because that's what we're here for. And I'm connected to that. So I'm supposed to be bringing things back as I'm doing. I'm supposed to be bringing things back to brothers and sisters. A lot of stuff that I'm connected to, a lot of things that I've seen, bringing it back to young nobles, and they able to take it to their fellow brothers and sisters in their communities to build them up at a younger age. I wish I had a lot of this that I have at the older age that I have now. If I had older brothers that was into the science and that was into this, because I take this almost like scouting, almost like scouts. Man, if we can get a hold of our young nobles and our empresses and the brothers take a hold of this, man, this can be amazing. If brothers are willing to remove the ego and we come together and use each other as an ally, especially if we have a mission, is what? Nationality and spirituality. If we have a mission, we can come together. And this is all I be saying with the brothers that be following me, y'all. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? We can unite. We can come together. My email is GOODMANKHARY That's that T. Hold on. Once again, my email is Goodman, GOODMANKHARY @gmail.com. And I'm telling brothers and sisters, get with me, man. Don't hesitate. Let's build this cipher, brothers and sisters. Let's bring brothers and sisters together. Let's talk about some things. Because I know it's so much that brothers and sisters really need to talk about before you move on. And right now, what's happening right now, you don't want to move prematurely. I'm telling you, what's going on right now, you don't want to move prematurely. So I want to keep it positive, man, on this note of who we are and what we're doing. And if anybody got any questions or want to build or want to have a panel of real discussion, if you need anything, any books, any research, use me as a source, man. I'll give you things for small donations. If y'all been following me, you know I got books that cost thousands of dollars on all levels of wisdom. Use me. You can get these as ebooks, and then you can print and bind them, or we'll print and bind them. So all I'm saying is, brothers and sisters, take advantage of your brother, man. Use me. Have me as a guest on your YouTube channel. Let's spread this the same way people have built themselves up on the wrong with the wrong stuff. Let's build ourselves up on the right stuff. With all due respect. With all due respect. There's so many brothers on here that got podcasts or want to try to do some things. Well, let's try to do it. Have me as a guest. We can talk on plenty topics. We can talk on different books or different holy books, different historical books. It's books I can talk on. People be like, man, this book costs thousands of dollars on Amazon. We can talk about these books and why they're not introduced to academia. We can talk about so many things and break them off in little chapters of history and science to where a person to fact check that be like, man, I did not know this. And why is this not known? And we can have those conversations. So, like I say to everybody, I'm an open book. I'm willing to work with anybody. If anybody willing to work with me, but like I'm saying, anything that y'all need, please get with me first. With all no disrespect, I don't like to talk about any other platforms, but before you go to, those platforms to get books, those systems, the big platform where you can order stuff at, get with me. Because believe me, I got everything converted to ebooks, and I got books that cost thousands of dollars that I converted to ebooks, and we can print and bind them. So get with your brother, man. Hit me up, email me. If you want a fez, if you get a fez from me, man, I'll give you turbans and all that. Why? Because I provide them. Tunics, kunthras, all that. All these beads, we provide them in-house. But brothers and sisters, I'm just gonna keep on coming out here, man, until a spark happen. Cause I love doing this, man, and I've been in academia and I seen the other side, and I'm like, no, I can't just be on one side. I got to be able to bring something back to my people to see could we establish something. And I think we have the opportunity to do these things. My email is DMANKHARY at gmail.com. Goodman Curry at gmail.com. GOODMANKHARY at gmail.com. And you'll see a lot what we got going on, me and my muftis. Like we own land in Kingsman, Arizona. We trying to see if brothers and sisters want to get a percentage of acres as we start to build and figure out what we want to do on it. If we want to build a big greenhouse and put a big structure on the land, but at least brothers and sisters to have parcels of land to where we can build something together. And so we, like I said, we own almost 10 acres prime real estate in Kingsman, Arizona. So all these things we trying to bring people together and just look at the blueprint and see what we can do. You know, like-minded brothers and sisters, like actually have teachings and have a place where we can go, like have a full library, and all this stuff can be done with small donations and hold people accountable. And like it's so much stuff that we have in line, and so I'm willing to share with everybody. I'm telling everybody to use me as an ally. The same way you go to Amazon and buy books and all that and spend, and they charge thousands for paper. I don't charge that. I say, man, just give me a small donation. Why? Because I want you to have it. I want you to be like, man, I got this from this brother, and he not only this, but he has way more. And I'm telling you, this is a fact. Your library will be on doctoral level. Your understanding will be there too, because we'll be practicing and we'll be going through the process of these things. This is what we do at the BBT. It's part of our lives. And so once again, man, I always cast my net out, and I'm gonna start doing book previews, because I like on my YouTube channel, which is Kari Ibn Hakeem Goodman Bey, and on YouTube our temple school, our temple YouTube page is Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. But I used to have book sales, and so I used to go on the college campus and do this, you know, with college students that's getting their bachelor's and master's. I go over historical books that I converted to ebooks, and I offer them to the college students. And so I got like 4 or 5 social medias up. And I used to do this once or twice a week at the college. And I do this to my brothers and sisters, and with all due respect, I don't get that many brothers and sisters purchasing nothing. And the only thing I ask my brothers and sisters, I always do scenarios. I say, well, are you into reading and studying? And everybody say, yeah, I'm into reading and studying. And I say, well, okay, well, if you was traveling, would you travel with a whole bunch of books? Everybody say no. And I said, so if you had the opportunity to have your books, especially specific books that you like to read and expensive books downloaded in your tablet, so when you travel, you can just have your tablet or your phone, or if you want to print things out when you're dealing with people in the same vibration you in, you can print it for them or send them or just send them the email of the book. Wouldn't you want to travel and operate like that and operate on real time instead of traveling with a backpack full of everything? Now you can have your home personal library at the house. Like I think that's my Noble Lamarck is on my Facebook page. He understands what I'm talking about. But we have a database. And so when I'm doing this in real life, I try to tell brothers and sisters, it's only one science, it's only one history. Use me as a source. The things that you see that cost $1,000 on Amazon, the plethora of books that I have, you'll be like, man, I'm glad I got with this brother. Because not only when you get things, you get gifts. When you do business with me, I give gifts. Why? Because I can. Just like I tell people, when you get a fez, if you don't have a fez, man, you get a fresh fez from me and a turban. I've gathered and compiled a plethora of books. I did a lot of work. I work with ADHD, autistic. I've done so much work in the community. We have to link up. If you go into college and academia, it's a certain piece of wisdom that I can assist. Why? Because I went there. When people want to be a part of brotherhoods, the only way brotherhoods were started, people established them. I have my own charter. That's why I'm able to speak freely. And I'm part of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It's only one. And I teach righteousness. And it ain't no crazy stuff to be taught with this Moorish science. There's no crazy stuff to be taught. I just use this social media to spread wisdom. Because most of my muftis that I met They didn't grow up in the city with me. I met them doing my job when I had my soup store, going online, meeting them brothers, and we established a brotherhood. We going on what shit about 7, 8 years we've been dealing with each other. We done traveled. We met each other families, and we a real brotherhood as we continue to build, and we open our doors to other brothers. I want to get to know brothers as I travel. I travel all over on my own dime. Each year I try to travel to about like 6, 7 states. Usually I just go to where my mufti stay. And so as we establishing our temples in these areas, trying to build things, I'm telling brothers and sisters, let's build. Let's put on lectures. Let's put on all different things. Everybody have an expertise. I ain't the only speaker. We can spearhead things, and brothers and sisters can come together. And so we can have people on specific topics. But especially on a lot of things, I just have a clear understanding on a lot of levels of wisdom. And we can and I can help clear some things up, not only from experience, from education, and from example on a plethora of levels. So, and I'm a source of wisdom, y'all. So once again, brothers and sisters, use me. I promise you, my email is Goodman, GOODMAN, KHARY @gmail.com. Earlier today, I showed 4 books that cost over $4,000 on Amazon. And when I did this earlier, the same person, where I ain't gonna say your name because you might be on here, and I don't be wanting to share people business, but he said I can say his name. Okay, he get everything, you know, and I thank him for that. And these be people that I met, like I tell people, like I was just having a meeting with a sister and my homeboy and his cousin about applying for certain things, to work to get things in the community. And I always talk about a lot of the work that I've been able to do at my alma mater, GCU, when I'm able to go up there and use the facilities and use the libraries, use certain rooms, and put my flyers up there and say I'm doing a lecture speaking and have all the college students come and they all donate, and the professors will hang up my information in their classroom and in the vestibule, where you can hang up your information like for tutors and things. But I always got to show this as I close. These are some of the books that I'll be sharing with these people. And y'all see the price. And all my brothers and sisters got these. This book is $1,000. I'm gonna keep showing it. It's the Forgotten Cause of the Civil War, and it's on Amazon for $1,000. And so when I should be on the campus, I go through so many books. I'll be on there for an hour, but I offer all these books. A lot of them I'll print because a lot of them just ask me to print them. So a lot of them I'll print. Then of course I ask for a higher donation. But most of these books I offer as ebooks because they like to have them in their tablet. But a lot of times for older individuals, and when I'm doing like my little tour things and stuff, I have a lot of these books printed. And so when people be looking at these books up when I'm speaking, just like right now, if I have my projector up and I'm showing the book or I'm lecturing on this book, Forgotten Cause of the Civil War, and I have a few copies of it, and you look it up on Amazon and you see this book is $1,000 on Amazon, and you into the science and understanding, and if you don't get that from me right now in real time, I think something is wrong. I really do. And so these are things that I wouldn't say hidden, but it is cost. They make the wisdom cost a lot because they know the average individual is not going to purchase it. Melanin, the chemical key to black greatness. You see that? $1,000. This other book is $1,000. So here go 2 books I just showed you is $1,000, and this is a used book. Now we just talking about paper, right? We just talking about paper, right? What's on the paper, right? What's on the paper. So when you researching that paper, when you looking at that, and when you have access to it, well, nothing's worth that much money. This is Russian Icons by Vladimir Ivanov. This book is $500 with all the plates in there. The Russian icons, the biblical icons. When they call them Russian icons, it's the biblical icons. Now this book is 500. I'm gonna show you one more, and we out of here. I'll show you this book called Atlantis of the Latter Days. It, a lot of misnumbered Black Masons think it's a high Masonic book, but it's really a low Masonic book because all European Masons, the higher science is the Osiris mysteries. And you see, this book is $500. 500. So I just showed you 4 books that cost 3 bands. I just showed you 4 books, a total of three bands. And if you and say if I'm lecturing and I have all these books printed, and you have the access to get these books from me from ebooks for a small donation, why wouldn't you want them? And then I can reference other books that you will see people talking about, like Bobby Hemmett, and you will see books in the background, and I'll say, oh, that's the spirit molecule, or DMT. You'll be like, what's the spirit molecule? You might look it up. That piece of wisdom might not cost that much, but I have it for you. That book only costs about like $15 to $20 on Amazon. Let me see. But I'll give you that. I'll throw that as a bundle. And then we'll lecture on it. Melanin book was in the back of Bobby Hemmett, one of his lectures too. See, this is the spirit molecule. This is DMT. This was on the shelf of one of Bobby Hemmett lectures as well. And the book Melanin, the Chemical Key to Black Greatness. The other book that was 1,000. See, a lot of this stuff I give to you, I was able to lecture on this stuff in academia, in a doctoral library, and in a Gnostic library and stuff like that. Those are just a lot of places that a lot of people might not know, but they do have those at universities. So, like I said, brothers and sisters, those pieces of wisdom that I have right there, I have access to. And I let people get those for small donations, for you can build your library. So you can touch things, so you can see things, so you can ask questions. So when people speak of things, you can introduce these pieces of wisdom. And there's much, 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 much more that I have to share. When I say much, much more, I mean much, much, much more. And a lot of my muftis can attest to what I'm saying. Much, 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 much more. And like I said, I'm just opening my doors to y'all. So brothers, get with me. Y'all got my email. Share this wisdom. Subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube page, Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit me up. Y'all got my email. Once again, it's Goodman, GOODMAN, KHARY @gmail.com. Hit me up for a source. Those books I just showed you, if y'all interested in them, hit me up, send me an email, and you give me an offer. You know what I mean? I don't have a price for you. You give me an offer that you feel okay donating, and you can get the wisdom from me. It goes just like that. That's how it go with me. If you came to my library, if you came to my temple at school, once we get it, and I have all this stuff in my library, all I'm gonna be asking for is donations for these things. It'll be suggested donations. That's all. It'll be suggested donations because I want our people to have it, and they can come to the lectures and the teachings of these specific topics. So those books I just showed, once again, y'all, if y'all interested in any of those to have as ebooks, and if you want any of those books printed and binded, it'll be a price. But if you want these ebooks that I just showed you, which is a $3,000 value, you saw it, which you can turn into an NFT. Why? Because the people that's in the wisdom like you you can let them get it for a donation. Think about that. So once again, y'all got my info. I love y'all. I'm out of here. Peace, light, and illumination. And I love y'all.